Okay, welcome everybody once again. My name is Bianca and I am a program coordinator at the Australian Network on Disability, and I am joined here by one of my colleagues, Ashley, who is a fellow program coordinator. Now, just before we get into the presentation, just a few housekeeping rules that I'll just go through quickly. So a reminder to please keep yourself on mute if you're not speaking, just to avoid any noise interference. And if you do require captioning, Microsoft Teams does have live captioning embedded into it, and you are able to view the captions by clicking onto the three dots, more actions, and then enabling the live captioning. So if anybody does require that, please feel free to arrange that for yourself. And my colleague Ashley might pop those instructions into the chat as well. While we're going through the presentation, please excuse my dog barking in the background if you can hear him. One of the beauties from working from home. If you do have any questions while I'm going through the slides, please feel free to pop them into the chat and Ash can get back to you from there. Okay, so here we go. A bit of a session overview of what we'll go through for the next hour or so. So we'll have a bit of a chat about what A&D is and what we do. Information about the Stepping Into program. We'll touch on the Stepping Into Intern experience, how to apply for the Stepping Into program, and the timeframes will also be discussed as well. So a little bit about the Australian Network on Disability. We are a member-based organisation. We are not a recruitment agency and we are not a charity. So our purpose is to advance the equitable inclusion of people with disability in all aspects of business. Our vision is to create a disability confident Australia as a national peak body. And our mission is to provide expert advice and services on disability to employers, government representatives, and industry bodies. So the Australian Network on Disability is made up of over 300 members, which is brilliant. So here are some of the organisations that are participating in our summer cohort of Stepping Into. We can see on this slide here that there are a diverse range of member organisations that are participating, from RMIT University to ABC, Zoos Victoria, Nestle, Thomson Greer, NAB, NDIA. So hopefully you're able to view the image with all of the different company logos on it, but if not, please do let us know. Okay, so a little bit of information about our Stepping Into internships. So Stepping Into is a paid internship program designed specifically for university students with disability to assist them to gain meaningful work experience in the area of their study, to assist them to transition into employment once they complete their degree. The program promotes inclusion and diversity, and many businesses benefit of employing a person with disability. Students learn about the recruitment process, job interviews, and if successful, they are able to gain exposure to degree-relevant work in a forward-thinking organisation. More information about our Stepping Into program. So our Stepping Into program is a paid internship program in the winter or summer university break. It allows you to gain degree-relevant work experience, and it also allows you to develop your skills, build your networks, and enhance your resume, just to name a few. You may be wondering how it works. So employers offer opportunities for students with disability to gain work experience in various disciplines. What you can expect if you were to be part of the Stepping Into program is interview experience, a supportive recruitment process, valuable feedback, and degree relevant work. A little more information about our Stepping Into program. So our Stepping Into program does have national capability. So we place internships across Australia. So we can see a list of all of the active locations there for our upcoming summer cohort. So we place students in public and private sector organisations across a wide range of disciplines. So some examples of the disciplines include commerce, law, science, engineering, IT, social science, marketing, and many more. So the host organisation pays a participant fee to the Australian Network on Disability, but it is free for students to participate, and it is a paid experience for the students as well. So our Stepping Into placements do have a workplace adjustment focus, which I'll touch on a little further in a moment. And we do provide ongoing support to both the intern and the supervisor by checking in with them weekly to see how they're tracking throughout their placement and to offer our ongoing support. Just to touch a little further on our workplace adjustment focus. So a large focus of the Stepping Into program is encouraging the host organisation to implement their internal workplace adjustment policies. For many supervisors participating in Stepping Into, this will be the first time they will have a team member with workplace adjustment requests, and it is a wonderful opportunity for those managers to upskill and learn how to better manage their team. From the students' initial screening interview with A&D, we explain to them their rights to request workplace adjustments that can benefit them in the workplace and encourage them to consider what adjustments a supervisor can make to allow them to complete the requirements of the internship to their highest and best capacity. This process allows the students to develop the confidence they need in requesting workplace adjustments that will allow them to perform their job as comfortably and productively as possible, a skill many interns take with them throughout the rest of their professional careers. So some examples of common workplace adjustment requirements include a space where there is no overhead bright lighting. It may be a quieter room to complete your work in. It may be captioning or Auslan interpreting. So eligibility to participate in the Stepping Into program. You must be a student in your final or penultimate year of an undergraduate or postgraduate university degree. You must identify as having a disability, a mental health condition, or a chronic illness. You must have full working rights in Australia, and you must be committed and prepared to participate fully in the program and be available to attend a student briefing conducted by us here at A&D before starting the program. International students, please remember to check the eligibility, as not all roles will be able to accept international students into their placements. Now here we have a quote from one of our previous interns, Devni, who interned at one of our leading member organisations, ARUP. So I will read that quote out. "What I gained from the experience was more than what you gain from a job. I gained confidence. It's something I now carry through my daily life and will throughout the rest of my career. Confidence to own my disability and talk about it. I can have conversations to create opportunities for myself and other people with disability." That's a brilliant quote. I love that one. And you can also see here a photo of Devni and her supervisor during her placement. So we're now up to the application process of our presentation, and I will hand over to my colleague Ashley to take it from here. Thanks, Ashley.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for making the time to attend today. I'm going to go over the application process, which I'm sure you're all quite excited to get right deep into. So before you apply, please peruse the position descriptions online and look at the roles that you think that you will be a good fit for or sounds super interesting that you can learn a lot from. We always like to make sure that if you are shortlisted, it is in a role that we think you can thrive in. So our position descriptions are all up and have all the details of each role. So I would recommend the first thing before applying is to look at all the ones you are interested in carefully. Prepare your documents. While you will have to answer some questions, soon we'll go through that. You would need to have some documentation when you submit your application. The first one is your resume. Please check your resume before you submit it, and make sure it's your recent, most up-to-date, and if there's something missing, you can update it quickly. Just before, so we can have an idea of your aspirations, your interests for the future. It's, as I said before, we want to make sure that you can thrive and there's a good fit in the roles, and your resume is a good place to show that. Proof of eligibility. There are two ways you can go through with this. Some of you may be part of your university's disability services. You will receive a disability access plan, which usually details your adjustments that you receive from the university. If you have one, you can submit that, and that's perfectly fine. If you don't, as many students who are eligible are not part of the disability services, that's okay. You can just pass on relevant medical documentation. We know that this question can be a bit confusing. So if you ever want to know, if you're ever curious or you're not sure if that's perfect, your documentation is fine, we are always here to chat about this. And once you submit it, we will check the documents and let you know if there's something additional we need, or if you're missing your documentation, just to give you the opportunity to go back to your GP, or maybe even a discharge paper you have around the house, a hospital discharge paper that you can submit. So, and also your academic transcript. This does not need to be official. We know official ones cost a fair bit of money. An unofficial one that you've downloaded, something that shows your enrollment for this current semester you're applying for. So semester 2 or 3. I'm aware that certain trimester universities go in a different scheduling. And at this stage, please, you don't need to submit a cover letter. Please don't jump in to start writing one out. I know so many people are quite keen to get through it. Cover letters aren't necessary right now, and you can leave that. So next week. Oh. Apologies, one moment. Can you see the slides okay?
Thanks, Ash. All good.
Yeah, perfect. Sorry, it exited out for a moment. So the application form. We will ask you for your contact details so we can touch base with you. Please make sure it's an email you're regularly checking. We'll ask for 2, student and a personal one. That will be fantastic. And your expected graduation date. This would be when we speak of expected graduation date, it would be the date of your last classes, not necessarily the date of your conferral, so your ceremony. 3 position preferences. You don't actually apply for specific roles under the Stepping Into program. We will ask you for your actual preferences that you are interested in. It will be 3, and this helps us improve the ability and heighten the chances of us being able to match you. And that's why we go through this specific way in terms of the application process. And if you have more positions you're interested in, that's perfect. I can understand. So many of them are so interesting, and I'm keen too. I wish I could apply for them. Just send a list to the email applications@ant.org.au. It's actually on the slides, and you can just save that. Just number them from preferred 1 to least preferred. I've had people send me through 15 extra preferences, and that's okay. You actually, under this section, have to answer some questions. This will involve you discussing, for the first one will be career objectives. What do you aspire to do in the future? What is your goal? Sometimes it could necessarily be that you're not sure yet, but you know that you have interest in so many different areas that you would like to flesh it out a bit more. That's perfectly fine. Maybe as well to go over your personal achievements. There's another section for that, something that you were proud that you have achieved. Could be within your personal life, professional life, volunteer work, university. It does not have to be completely work-centered, as we know that not everyone has had the ability to work yet. So please don't think that these questions necessarily have to be targeted towards your work experience. It could very well be something you have done on your volunteer work on the weekends. Skills and abilities. We'd like to understand a bit more about you, about your type of skills you have, and a little bit of advice I'd like to give you with this section is that it doesn't necessarily have to be all those hard skills that you've developed throughout your university degree. We like to know about soft skills. They're very important. Communication, teamwork. How are you in a flexible environment? Things like that. Soft and hard skills are both things I'd recommend touching on. And some interests and hobbies. This helps us get to know you a bit better and helps us match you in a role that overall you can thrive in and we think you're well matched for. Another thing we will ask is disability information. We don't pass this on. I just want to clarify that from now. We do not pass on disability specific information at all. We only pass on workplace adjustments. Sometimes people will have an awareness of certain adjustments they found useful from university or just your everyday life, and we'll ask you if you have any knowledge or certain adjustments you find quite beneficial. Something I always like to recommend when thinking about adjustments and something that could be really useful for you is that I like to think of it as sit down, give yourself 10 minutes in a quiet environment and pretend, play like your internal simulator. You're going into the office one day, 9 to 5. What do you think would be useful for you to make sure that that whole day goes smoothly? It could very well be not staying till 3 p.m. because you realize, oh, by 3 p.m. I wouldn't be able to finish the day. I would not be able to work at my full capacity. Just pretend. So this section is about timeframes, just to give you a bit more idea about what each process is, what each stage and when it's at. So September to October, where we are at currently, our application period is open and we will be interviewing everyone who applies. As you know, the first step is to be interviewed after you have applied by a member of the A&D team. You might meet one of us quite soon, actually. After this process has been conducted, everyone has applied, applications have closed, and we have interviewed every single person. We then begin the shortlisting process. The shortlisting process happens between early October to around earlier once we have closed. Once we have shortlisted you, we will request the tailored cover letter, pass that on to the host organization, and then you are interviewed with the host organization. The shortlisting, the cover letter requests and the interviews will be conducted between October to November. Then from December to February, this is the fun part, internships begin. They go for a minimum of 152 hours. But something I'd like to touch upon is that internships don't have to be completed on a full-time basis. 152 hours is 4 weeks full-time. They can actually be completed on a part-time basis. Hours and flexibility should be negotiated with their host organization prior to commencing a placement. I recommend trying to see if 3 days per week at a minimum is possible, as previous internships and our research has shown that is where the most optimal time period to be able to get the most out of your internship. But yeah, We understand that sometimes there needs to be flexibility. Some of you may be studying in summer, some may have other things popping up in the summer that the full-time aspect may not be possible. Now for the last section, questions. Does anyone have any questions about the stepping into program?
Thanks, Ash. It's Bianca here. So there have been a couple of questions in the chat, which I've responded to. So we're all covered from the chat basis at the moment.
Another thing we've linked and we recommend checking out our YouTube channel. Bianca will post a link in a moment to our Job Seeker Toolkit. There we have some recordings on the cover letter writing, the concept of adjustments, how to look at them. Actually, I have the link here. No worries, Bianca, it turns out I already had it up. And it goes over like certain questions about the recruitment process, even like little top tips about networking, which I always find quite useful, especially when you're writing a application. But yeah, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate. And other things that I understand that you may not want to discuss certain things in this environment,